First, I want to thank you all for coming out. Retta, this is my wife, Retta. For those of you who don't know her, there's so many people here, and I'm just going to kind of let y'all cross-introduce yourself, because if I start trying to get the names and the face right, I'm going to just mess it all up. The hard drive crashed a long time ago, and there's no more update and memory grades for it. So, you know, we come out here each year this time because it corresponds to the time of day on the 16th of August in the early morning hours when Mike was killed. And I want to introduce some special people here today. You're all special, but some of them I want to introduce for a special reason because I actually served with Mike in Iraq. And if I miss anyone, I'm going to make them speak up. But first, Tops, First Sergeant Steve Jones and his wife, Linda. He was Mike's first sergeant over E-108 Cav. And Mike loved him to death and thought the world of him. And, you know, I didn't meet Tops to the day of the departure ceremony, but I felt real good about my boy going to war with him. We got Billy Durham here, who served in Mike's platoon and was down at Yusufia with him. The 108th Cavalry was split up at 2 points, about 8 miles apart. 3 of the platoons were up at Mahmudiyah, which, if you think of Baghdad right here, Yusufia was kind of down here a little bit, about the 7 o'clock position, maybe 6:30. And Mahmudiyah was more like 5:30, almost 6 o'clock. They were about 8 miles apart, and they were about, what, 15, 18 miles south of Baghdad. And they formed the 2 top corners of the Triangle of Death. And if you've heard of the Triangle of Death, it was truly the Triangle of Death, because a lot of soldiers lost their lives there, including Mike, and 2 weeks later, 2 of their fellow soldiers up at Mahmudiyah, Bobby Holler and George Strong, 2 good men. And, you know, the 108th Cavalry took a lot of wounded. We got Brian Hall here. Brian, when was your IED?
September 13th.
September 13th. You were a month after Mike and 2 weeks after Bobby and George. And, you know, Brian took a serious injury, and he's still fighting the residuals of that. And you know, I appreciate you coming out. It's pretty hot out here. It's not near as hot today as it was August 27th when we buried Mike. That was a tough, hot day. And I want to point out something to you. I want you to look at this grass, okay? When we were here last year, those of you that were here with us, remember I said I was going to plant grass and get it growing on this grave one way or the other? Well, I came out here in September after it cooled off a little bit and had some nice zoysia sod, and I got some of that really organic, rich, what they call earth food type compost, and I dug down about 2 feet. Now you got to understand, folks right through this cemetery seeing me with a shovel and a pick digging down on his grave, they were giving me some very strange looks, and they weren't quite sure what I was doing. You know, we're here to remember Mike and keep those stories and those connections going. And you know, they say a person doesn't truly die until the last person that knows him dies as well. And, you know, there'll come a time when there'll be no one that will remember Mike Stokely and come to this grave. But for the time we have now, we will come, and we'll come just whoever wants to come, you know, on this day and time every year. It's a standing invitation. Tom, you look like you want...
He was a great kid. First time I met him, he was with this 1st Battalion, 121st Infantry. He was at AT, and he wanted an extra camp, so I let him come with us. And before that camp was over, he said, I want to be a scout. And I introduced him to the scouts, and they said a few things to him that would really scare most human beings. And he put that smile on his face and said, yes, this is what I want. So before I left camp that year, we got him to be in the Cav troop. He was a motivator. He was a schemer. I'd say so you could use that. He would use stuff that you tell him to do, and sort of twist it around to his advantage. Most time I knew he was doing it, but I let him do it anyway. They had a rough life down in Yusufia. They didn't have the conveniences of Mahmudiyah. You know, we had running showers at Mahmudiyah, and down there they had a box with a head on it. They used the bathroom out of tubes stuck in the backyard. But he was always pleasant. He was always smiling. You'd come in, he'd been up for 36 hours, and they always smile. He'd always smiling that smile, and always up to something. I went into their quarters one day, I was down there visiting, and they all had me in the middle, and we was all talking. They turned the lights out. You never want to be in a room with 30 soldiers with the lights out. Run. So when I visited then, I just stayed close to the door. He was a great soldier. You could depend on him. There's a motivator. He loved kids down there. And I miss him. He was like a son to me, even though he belongs to Robert. A few years he was with us in the cab, you know. I'm good.
He belonged to all of us, Thomas.
Yeah.
He belonged to all of us.
Well, we didn't get to know Mike, but we did get to for you. So, listen, so much to know you and Mike has been life.
Thank you.
And we do
Thank you.
everything that you've done and helping everybody else that's followed you. You had to follow, so thank you.
We don't get to choose our circumstances like this, but we get to choose what we're going to do with it. And I won't lie, it's hurt our family bad. It's hard to get up and go some days. I think for me, I just have this feeling about it. I'm not going to let the people who killed my son have the pleasure of taking my life with him. Anyone else? Billy?
You know, I haven't seen a lot of the people that are here before. I told this the first year. There was a picture of Mike that was up on the chow hall in Mama Dia, and it was our battalion chow hall. Hoorah! But the picture is of Mike, and he's looking back over his shoulder. And you know, after Mike died, we all had to go and have our pictures made with a flag in the background. I guess just in case something happened to us, there'd be a nice picture they could put up on the wall. But we didn't have one like that of Mike. And every time I saw that picture, I just couldn't help but bust out laughing because the picture was cropped. Mike was mooning Sergeant Autry, and he was looking over his shoulder whenever he was doing it. And anybody that just came by the picture, oh, that's Mike. No, you weren't there. You didn't see what was going on at the time. It was just, it was really funny. And I think another really funny moment about Mike. Our platoon sergeant was a different breed, and he wasn't the most enjoyable person to be around all the time. Good guy, but just kind of hard to get along with. So one day we're loading up his stuff in the Humvee as he requested that we do, and there's like 3 cartons of cigarettes back there. Mike opens up the hood, the back hatch on the Humvee, and he stands there. How you gonna pack cigarettes? How you gonna pack cigarettes? You gonna pack cigarettes?
Oh Lordy!
It was. And Zano came back to the truck and said, "Where are all my cigarettes at?" Mike just kind of looked around. Didn't say a word. I'm up in the gunner's hatch just laughing, proud that my face is sticking up above the Humvee where nobody can see me. Oh, it was good. Good times.
I remember when Mike and Alton would come to the house, not to see us, but my daughters. Yeah, they were always upbeat, always positive, and full of life. And that's what I took away from meeting them, was their positive and love of life. It was great to know them.
Can't think of him without smiling, because he had that smile and that hug, and just the best hugs in the world. And as much as you miss him and grieve him, I mean, like, you gotta smile. Gotta think of him that way. And your grass looks great.
I got what his problem was.
His heart on his sleeve. That blonde-headed female sergeant. That was his problem. Yeah.
Hey, I need.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to figure it out.
He said he's gonna try.